So, a brief story, my story. I'm still not really comfortable talking about it. This is the first time that this has come out for me. So I'm not really gonna go into much detail, but basically I was 13 and I was just hanging out and fell asleep at a friend's house, actually a good friend's house that I'd known for a while, and he just decided to take advantage of me, and I was completely powerless against it. I never thought in a million years I would be in this situation, but I also didn't think that I would not do something about it when I was in that situation. I just felt like I was completely paralyzed. I felt like I couldn't move and I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything. I was scared, I was frozen in fear, and I was also confused. I didn't know like what was going on, and then it just became so clear to me, and I just felt like myself become rigid, like I couldn't do anything. It's just a reminder that you just never know how you're going to react in a situation, especially that one that you wouldn't think you'd find yourself in.
Mine is almost identical to Megan's. I was at a friend's house, a very good friend of mine, and we all were laying around, we were going to watch a movie, and I fell asleep. We all fell asleep. And I wake up and I feel someone's hands under my clothes, and I knew who it was, and I feel like it was like Megan said, you just feel paralyzed. I don't know if she did, but I am a very cautious person, and I replay things in my head, like what would I do if this happened, from like movies I watch, and I was like, oh, I would fight back, I would yell, I would scream, and then you get there and it's like you feel like you're gonna pass out. You feel like you cannot move. You seriously do feel paralyzed. You cannot move. And once I really was like, okay, this is getting too far, I remember people have told me that I kick in my sleep, so I didn't like kick. I just kind of tossed around my legs trying to push him off, and I think the worst part was that he held me down and I felt just helpless. I felt like even if I wanted to do something, I couldn't. And when we finally all woke up, he didn't know that I knew. He thought I was asleep, and I just felt sick. I could not even stand up. I was just sitting there and I felt like I was going to pass out.
I don't know, it's like it's something you don't expect to ever happen to you or to your family. And I'm not going to lie to you, we had some dark days. I mean, it about tore our family apart. You hide, like I wanted to just hide it from everyone. You don't want to tell people that. I didn't want to tell people what had happened. For one, it wasn't really my story to tell. To see your vibrant, happy daughters changed, and to pray and pray and pray and just feel like you're hitting a ceiling and nothing happening, to reach out to leadership or someone for help, and embarrassing, and not getting help. Just no answers, no way out. It was dark. It was very dark. We just wanted to point out, it's not about who did this to them. It's not about that. It could be the neighbor down the street. It could be the usher at church. It could be a family member. It could be
a best friend.
It could be a boyfriend,
a girlfriend, husband or wife.
It doesn't matter.
Or a stranger.
For our family, it was that person, the person we knew. It wasn't a stranger, and it could be that for you too.
The fact that just because we're posting this video doesn't mean that we are not scared. I for one am very scared. I have not told like hardly anybody that this is something like this that has ever happened to me, and it's been a long time. It's been a long time for even all three of us, and we're just now getting to this point where we feel like we can express this in a good way.
I don't want people looking at my daughters like and knowing what happened to them, but And it's scary. It's scary knowing that, that this could change the way people look at us and think about us. But it's important because I know we're not the only ones.
And making videos is something that I love to do. So making the video wasn't the problem. I think what I'm mostly scared about would be how people are going to respond, not just in comments, but in person. They're going to ask, you know, who, where was it, how old were they, and stuff like that, and it doesn't matter. And I think what I'm concerned about is the hate, because I know that we're going to get hate from someone about it. Well, something that I've had to deal with a lot since I've told people is people, including family, just telling me to let it go. And that's the thing, it's like, you can't forget about it. It's always constantly, it's reminding you, whether it's you see the person, whether you see a person who looks like them or acts like them or is in the same activities that they used to do, or they might say a phrase that they used to say. I mean, it never goes away, and it's awful. I just hate that.
How are you supposed to let it go?
I'm like, okay, you're right, I should do that, but how? How should I do that? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, exactly.
I don't want to. You think I want to hold on to this? I don't want this to be in my life. I don't want this to happen. I don't want to hold on to it. It's holding on to me.
They need to be held accountable for that. Being held accountable is going to teach them this is wrong. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they're going to keep doing this
to make them a better person and definitely protect somebody else.
Yeah, and it just needs to be dealt with so that everyone in this situation can feel maybe not justified, but still feel like action was taken. Maybe things will change, because not doing anything, nothing is going to change. It's going to stay the same.
The boy who touched Madison, when Madison tried to share with some family about her experience, it's like they were like, well, I mean, boys are like that. That's what boys do. If he had been 40, then they would have been appalled that he stuck his hands inside of her clothes when she was asleep. But because he's her age, well, that's just what boys do. Well, to Madison, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old he is or how old he was. She didn't want it either way. So, and boys aren't, God didn't make boys like that. God did not make boys to take advantage of girls. That's not the way God made them.
We've been talking about this a lot, about us three, and we just all three happen to be women, but it's a hugely underreported crime of boys being molested or raped. And it might sound crazy, but it's not. It's an adult that has these type of like problems or urges is not going to discriminate just because, like, oh, he's a boy, I better not do that. You know, everyone knows don't touch girls, but what about the boys? What about guys? They're just as valuable. They're just, God made them, and their body is God's temple just as much as it is for women. So saying that it doesn't happen to boys, or we shouldn't listen to it when boys say it, it can't happen, that's not true. And we need to be just as aware of that as we are for women.
Don't give up, though. You don't give up. You do whatever it takes. If what you're doing is not working, try something else. Just keep trying. You'll get through it.
You're not a victim. You should take your situation and you should become a leader. You should show the way for other people that have gone through things similar to you, and you should try to be the best that you can from that situation and not let what happened to you affect your life negatively, because then they would win.
When you get to that point, you don't have to be face to face and say, I forgive you. You don't have to message them. You can know in your heart, and that is good enough. You don't have to say anything to him or her. You don't have to be friends with them ever again. You don't have to see them ever again. It's an emotional forgiveness.
We have gone through something that's very negative, but also we are still positive people. We're still happy people and successful. And I think a lot of that for me was from reading the Bible and certain verses. One verse that really got me was Psalm 39, 2 through 3, and it says, I kept very quiet, but I became more upset. As I thought about it, my anger burned. That is me. I stew on things, and I have been thinking about this obviously ever since it happened, and I've been angry about it ever since it happened. But then I also read a verse after that, Matthew 5:43 through 44. It says basically, love your enemies, let them bring out the best in you. So I just want this to be an encouragement that God knows that we're going to go through some things that are horrible and that they're going to be hard to go through, but you can, and you can actually turn it to a good thing if you want to, and with His help.
And just remember, life can be like a glow stick. Sometimes you need a break before you shine.